Alright peeps, today we've got a different video. Today's about tax, and Deliveroo has literally got a live intervention maybe, where they give you some tips on how to manage your tax, what to do, etc. The full works and every single piece of the step that you need to know. Um, this is the website that gives you all of the information. So it's free. It's a live web seminar, sorry, for riders. So if you're not a rider, you won't be able to join. You will have to use your own personal account to be able to log in. We are not live streaming this, but I am currently recording it, as obviously you could probably tell at home. It's telling me the event's not live right now. Oh, that's changing.
I am so sorry. I have been talking for the last 3 minutes. I thought I'd started the meeting. I've been talking to myself. That explains why no one was telling me that you could hear me and why nothing else was going on. So I'm very sorry. I'm now here. I can see that we've got 59 of you as well. And I was worried nobody was actually saying they could hear me. If you can now hear me, please put something in the chat to say you can hear me. And then we will get going. This webinar is going to be focused on the deadline for self-assessment. We're not going to really be talking about anything else. If you have questions, there'll be loads of time for questions, but we know that we've got to be focused on the deadline. I'll give it another 60 seconds and then we will kick off. What I'm also going to do behind the scenes is I'm going to enable the discounts for Untied, which we had the other day. We had some special discounts that were just for people who were in the webinar. So we're going to make sure that they are on again, just so you can get the discount, because I think that's really important as well. And if you want to get that discount, you can go to let me just do this, untied.io secret, and then we can explain that. Please, someone tell me you can hear me. If you can, type something somewhere. It's good to see someone who said that you can hear me, which is good. Right, we're all relieved. Otherwise, it would have been one of those things. And you don't want to make the same mistake that I did, that you do all the hard work to do your tax return and forget to press submit. That's not a good look. Right. So we're going to go through a similar presentation to the one that I showed the other day. I will do it quickly. It is being recorded. I shared already the recording from the other day, but I want to make sure that we have lots of time to cover your questions. So let's get going here. I'm going to share my screen. And I want to say thank you as well for everything, in terms of the deliveries and for joining today. So thank you. So hopefully you should be able to see something which is tax for delivery riders and the link here. What we'll do is I'm going to walk through this quickly. While I do so, I can't see the questions that you're asking. I will then come back to the questions and we'll pause. So I hope we're good with that. We know taxes are scary, but we can't hide from them. And that's why we're going to be looking at the tax essentials and Untied. And again, any questions, click on the Q&A button. Untied has been helping Deliveroo riders now for over 6 years. We first started by helping riders during the pandemic, and we gave Untied away for free to riders at that point, and we love supporting riders. We have software which is designed for you with big discounts, and importantly, Untied helps make sure that you're filing properly to HMRC. For those who don't know, HMRC is the UK's tax authority. They cover the whole of the United Kingdom, although rates vary slightly in Scotland. And in Scotland, if you are a lower earner, you'll pay slightly less tax. If you're a higher earner, you'll pay slightly more than the rest of the country. As a Deliveroo rider, you are self-employed. You may have another job where you are employed. Now, obviously, there are differences from a worker point of view, but from a tax perspective, if you are self-employed, you have to be responsible for your tax. That means reporting to HMRC what you earn and paying them. Remember, there are two things: you need to report and you need to pay. If you are employed, you may see it sometimes as pay as you earn. Your employer will take the tax off what they pay you and pay that then to HMRC. So that's the main difference between the two. If you have other income, you have interest, dividends and other things, then you will have to pay tax on that as well. There's a level. If you earn more than £1,000, once you earn more than £1,000, you need to register with HMRC as self-employed and file a tax return each year. You may not, though, need to pay tax because you have something called the personal allowance, which is £12,570, and that's what you can earn before you need to pay. So you need to report if your income is over 1,000, but only pay if your income, including your employment income, is over £12,570 or £12,500. I'll use that for simplicity in this session. To register with HMRC, there are two ways you can do it. You can either do it directly or you can do it via Untied. If you have an Untied account, we can do it for you. And you'll then get something called a unique taxpayer reference. So it's lots of numbers. It can take a few weeks before that comes through. We are seeing HMRC currently processing it in around about 3 weeks. It can take them time, but that's roughly what the time zone is for doing all of that. We will see in a moment the implication of the tax year as to what you need to do. The tax year in this country is not the same as the calendar year. The tax year runs from the 6th of April to the 5th of April. So you can see here, the top line, it says the tax year ran from the 6th of April 2024 to the 5th of April 2025. If that is when you started with Deliveroo, you started on or before the 5th of April, then you may need to file for last year, which means registering as soon as you can and getting that UTR and filing and paying your tax by the 31st of January. If you haven't yet registered, don't worry, because you get longer to file if you haven't yet registered. You can't file without that magic UTR, the unique taxpayer reference. But if you have that, you need to make sure that you file by the 31st of January. Don't panic if you don't have all the information. I will keep coming back. I will show you in this session how you can get a tax return done in order to meet your obligations very quickly, but we also need to make sure we do it responsibly. There will be 12 million people across the country filing by the end of January. Around about 1 in 3 of them, so about 4 million people are self-employed, and you'll need to keep records and evidence. Evidence is basically receipts or other things that explain a transaction. Going forward, the records will need to be kept digitally, but the evidence can still be kept. These are receipts, invoices, that sort of thing, that can still be kept how you want. Some people keep it in their email, others in their iCloud, others in paper form. It doesn't really matter. There will be coming in a new way of reporting called Making Tax Digital for Income Tax. That is not for today, because today is about hitting the tax deadline. You'll be reporting your total income and expenses, and your income will be from multiple self-employment sources. So if you multi-app, effectively all of these will be included in here. And the expenses are the things which are the costs of you doing your business. So it would be your equipment, including the cost of your phone, uniform if you pay for your uniform, mileage and vehicle costs we'll look in a moment, insurance, the cost of Untied. And I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to add substitutes, because we're going to look at them in more detail as well in just a moment. So if you're paying for a substitute, what you receive from Deliveroo is income, and what you pay to your substitute is an expense. So here we go. If you pay a substitute, this is an expense. You also need to include your income. If you are a substitute, what you get paid, so what you receive, is your income. You each have a responsibility, and as I said, you include income from all apps. Your vehicle is one of the most important parts of being a Deliveroo rider. Otherwise, you'd be called a Deliveroo walker. But there are two ways you could do this. Either you can claim mileage, which is a set amount per mile, or you can claim the business share of the vehicle. If you are using a car to do deliveries, you want to really be claiming the mileage because the calculation to work out the business share is really complicated. The good news is if you are using Untied, we work all of this out. It's really easy. We work it out, job done, everything's fine for the mileage rate. If you are using a scooter or a bicycle, you might want to be claiming the business share. And many riders I know get a bike or a scooter just for deliveries. If you have an e-bike, it counts as a bicycle if you basically don't need a license to ride it. If you do need a license, then it counts as a scooter or a moped. So that's the breakdown there. How do you reduce your tax bill? Well, I'll be quite honest, a lot of people increase their tax bill because they suddenly get a penalty. Don't get penalties. I haven't put this on here, but don't get penalties. Actually, I should probably add that. I'll do that now as well. So the penalties can be significant. So you want to make sure that you've got your tax return filed by the 31st. Otherwise, it's a £100 penalty. So you don't really want to do that. The next way you can reduce the tax bill is by earning less. Well, that's not very happy. But you want to be also making sure that you claim your expenses. You can give money to tax efficient schemes as well as you go. Putting money into a pension, if you have money to put into pension, is a really tax efficient way of doing things. Remember, you need to pay HMRC as well. The deadline is the 31st of January. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. When you submit your tax return to HMRC, it takes them a few days before they actually process it. So if you send a tax return on the 30th or 31st of January, their systems may not update to tell you what you owe. If you use Untied, there is a figure in Untied where you can see what you need to pay, and I can show you that in a little bit. After you've filed, you can then ask to pay over a period, and you can see I've got a link here on paying in installments. If you're an Untied user, ask us a question in order to do this. So a recap. This is very important, especially if you were with Deliveroo or otherwise self-employed on or before the 5th of April 2025. So 5th of April last year. Register with HMRC. And if you are registered, you have until the 31st of January. Don't leave it until the 31st of January. You have until the 31st of January to file and to pay and to make the first payment on account for the next tax year. The second payment on account is due by the end of July. So I've said something new. I've talked about a payment on account. This is an advanced payment towards the following tax year's bill. And that's why getting this filed early is really important, because if you can't afford to pay, after you've filed, you can request to pay in installments, but you need to file first. So I'm going to pause there. We're going to look at questions and we can come back and see some of this as well. But so I realized I didn't move all of these things forward. So it's after filing, and this is the deadline for what you need to do. Right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to look at the questions and we'll come back as well as we go. 100 people, fantastic. We've hit 100 people. I love that. Right, let's see what questions we've got. Right, what is Untied? I will talk to you about Untied. A transition from scooter to bicycle. I'll come back to that in a little bit. What happens if you requested a refund? Okay, I will come back to that a little bit as well. That's an excellent question, that person. Don't be stressed. Okay, everything can be sorted. HMRC are really understanding around a lot of this stuff. I understand it's really, really scary. So we can sort about that. We've got someone who started. If you need to attach receipts, okay, fine. Right. Really good questions there. I'm going to answer the questions, and I'm going to show you Untied. We're going to get a tax return done, and we're going to be happy. Okay. Right. The person who started in June 2025, this is after April. You do not need to file in a tax return now. If you're not already registered with HMRC and they're not expecting a tax return, you don't need to file a tax return now. You will need to do one for next year. Oh, someone else has registered. Great answer. You will do one for next year, and you need to sign up though with HMRC. The right Untied plan for you is called something called Untied Starter, where we give you 18 months worth of Untied. Untied is software and a service to help you manage your taxes. Normally for other people who aren't Deliveroo riders, it would cost them nearly £200 for 18 months. We give it to you for £65 for 18 months. That's called Untied Starter. That's the plan that you need. And I can show you how all this works, but you need Untied Starter. And that will get you registered. It will get you on top of stuff. It will help you manage these things. The person who is stressed, I'll come back to you. You're fine. You're covered. If you're making a transition from a scooter to an e-bike, if you are renting the e-bike or renting a scooter, the cost of that rental is just an expense. Zego, by the way, is an expense. Claim that as an expense, Zego, because that is delivery insurance generally. If you're claiming mileage, you can't also claim motor insurance, but delivery insurance you can claim. If you own a vehicle, not if you rent it, but if you own a vehicle, you can't change from one method to another. So once you start claiming mileage for a vehicle, you need to stay with that, or start claiming the business share, you need to stick with that. But if you're renting it, that's an expense. Now, if you use a bike, you're right, the HMRC site doesn't say anything about it. It says nothing. So you can claim either 20p a mile. I ride a bike all the time, and it works out at about 20p a mile that my expenses are when I get punctures, need new wheels, well, you know what breaks on bikes, lights, that sort of stuff, bike lights, there we go, and other bits and pieces. So you can either claim 20p a mile, or you can claim the business share of your bike, and if you're just using it for deliveries, you're good on that. Can we spend a moment with the person who is really stressed? Okay, it sounds like you've asked HMRC to pay you back some money and they haven't done it. That often happens. If that is the case, what I would do is the amount that is showing in your account as still due, that they haven't paid you, deduct that from what you are actually paying this year, and then use that as the credit. If there are any problems, let Untied know if you're an Untied user, and we can help you fix these things with HMRC. But if it's showing a credit, use that credit, and you're going to be fine from that. I don't know why, but sometimes they just don't pay when you request it. They are good when you speak to them. So getting hold of them is quite stressful, but they're good when you actually do speak to them. They should be. I'll show you how to do the miles in a moment. And I will show you how this works. There is someone we've got a couple of people who started early last year in January or February. So my question to you is, first of all, you need to combine the income from Uber and from Deliveroo. So add them all together, and Untied supports them both. If the total is more than £1,000 before April 2025, we need to make sure that you're registered with HMRC and that you file a return. So we can help you with both of those. If the combined total before April is not £1,000, don't worry about last year, and we will ask for you to be registered from the start of the current tax year, which is the 6th of April 2025. So I'll show you how you do all of these things. If you already submitted a tax return, whoever that is, you've got a real secret code there, because you can always file an amendment tax return, okay? So you can file an amendment still. The person using their car, you're claiming mileage, you can't claim the cost of the car, you can't claim insurance for the car, you can't claim road tax, you can't claim MOT, you can't claim fuel and repairs and so on. You claim mileage that combines all of that. But you can claim Zego insurance, and there may be other things which are about your phone in your car, like the equipment to install the phone in the car. That might be something where you would relate that to the phone rather than to the car, because the phone is really sort of the most important thing for you. I'm going to show you how to do this and how we can do this. If you using Just Eat, you do the same thing. It combines with Deliveroo, you're multi-apping. And if you already have a UTR, it's a funny thing. Sometimes HMRC give you an UTR because they think you are self-employed. Other times they give you a UTR for other reasons. It's a mess. I'm going to say this is a mess with HMRC. You need to contact them to see if you're registered as self-employed or not, if you've got that. The person who has not earned more than £1,000 so far, you don't need to do anything for last tax year. You need to register now. You need Untied Starter, and that will get you going forward. And again, all of that is there. I'm going to show you Untied in just a moment, and we'll see how this works. We will do some tax returns really quickly. Okay, so I want to make sure that you are ready for some quick tax returns, and we'll show you how this works. Okay, so just give me a moment while I log in. Now, we have two versions of Untied, but I'm actually going to suggest that you use the more advanced one. Then if you need to get help on the simpler one, we can do that. Do you remember the thing that I said about being able to file an amendment? Because that is really important, and that's what I'm going to show you now in terms of how you do this. We also have something called Express Submit. Express Submit is a way to file without needing an HMRC login. That is really good because some people don't have a login, they don't know what it is, and even if you do, sometimes it doesn't work. So I would say enable Express Submit, send us 2 forms of ID, and then we can file your tax return without you needing to have an HMRC login. So that's a really handy thing in order to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to log into an Untied account, and we'll make sure that we can get everything working. Okay, so bear with me. We're going to do this in the simplest way ever. Okay. Right. Untied is available as an app. This is in the browser. There's an app version as well. I can show you both. Okay. I am in Untied. Okay. I'm in Untied, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do and how this works. I'm going to swap into last tax year, which is the year that we are doing a tax return for. Okay. I've got some money that I've earned from Deliveroo. I'm going to add a transaction. money in because it's income. How much Deliveroo income did I get for the year? I don't know. Let's say I got £15,000 Deliveroo income. I tagged that as business income. That's it. I've got expenses. I tag that as money out. It's an expense. Let's say it's my phone expenses and I have spent, I don't know, I bought a new phone and it's almost all for Deliveroo. So I spent £950 on my phone last year. I tag that as business expenses. I can add evidence if I want to. I can add a note and say, bought or new phone. Okay, and that's what it is, and the whatever it is on that. I've now got my income, I've got my expenses. Now, I haven't got my miles. If you go to journey log on the top left-hand side, I can add miles. I can do it precisely to say from starting postcode to the end postcode. But actually, I know that roughly, I do around about 100 miles a week, let's say. So if I do 100 miles a week, roughly, I need to be able to justify it. I'll add 5,200 miles. It then works out what the value is of that. So it is worked out 5,200 miles is equivalent at the HMRC rate of 2,340 of expenses. It is as easy as that. I'll show you what else I've done. I've gone to tax forms here. I've tapped on employment because I've also got employment. Now, let's say I work for a company called Maggie's. I've earned £18,167. They've taken some money off, and I can see this because of my P60 that I've got from them. And I click save. So I've got my employment income. I've got my self-employment income. Done. And then on the left-hand side, go to tax filings. I tap on file new return. You can see I've got express submit enabled. I've sent untied 2 forms of ID, one with my photo, one with my address, and express submit has been enabled. I can do a test. So let's just do a test. Make sure that it all goes through. And I might get an error here. If I get an error, I can then fix it. And now we can see that the test was successful. I can now file a live return. Now, if I do that, there's actually one thing I need to do because I'm going to go back to my my tax filings. The secret is if you've already done a return, remember I can do a amendment. So if I've already done that, I would just tick now to say it's an amendment and it would then go. It doesn't necessarily need to happen that way, but let's just do this again. We'll do it as a live return and we will see if that goes. So this is a live tax return we're doing. And it's taken us, what, about 5 minutes? It's gone through. If you get something called an IR mark, that is your confirmation that it's gone through. If I click on view my returns, I can now see how much I need to pay to HMRC. So I'm going to tap on payments and it shows me what I need to pay by when. I can either pay here or there will be a link that will then in Untied in order to spread the payments from over the year. So there are different ways to be doing that. But let's say I wanted to make a payment now. It's quite a lot of money, but let's say I've agreed with them to pay £211. I can then go to HMRC and I can then make a payment to HMRC. So that's the way that that will work. So all of this has done what we need in order to file a tax return. I'm just going to come back to some of the questions because a lot of people asked about estimating mileage. Quite frankly, you know your rough mileage better than anybody else, and the mileage you can claim isn't just between the restaurant and the person you're delivering to. It is you going to the restaurant, you then going to deliver the food, and then you coming back to the area where you start. The two journeys you can't really claim if you're doing mileage are, let's say you live 5 miles away from the center of town, and every morning you go off into the center of town, and every evening you come back. Those first and last journeys can't really be claimed, but everything else can be. Let me just take a quick look now. Was all of that visible? Did you see that on the screen? Hoping you can see that. I'm now panicking a little bit. You couldn't see anything. Oh goodness, I've made a mess, haven't I? There. Right. Let's do this one more time. Right. Well, that's no good. Right. We'll do this. It's not my day, is it? Really? This is not my day. We're going to do all of this one more. It said on my screen again it was being shared, but let's do it one more time. Okay. Okay. Well, let me just do this. Right. Okay. I'm now going to try one more time to share this, and we will do it all again. Right, now are you seeing it? Right, here we are. I'm hoping now it really is being shared. I'm going to pause for someone to say yes. Right, are you seeing something now? So someone's asked about income tax. The rate of income tax, is it 20% or 25%? So generally it's 20%, but you might also need to pay national insurance. And that is an additional percentage amount that you need to be paying on all of that. So hopefully someone will tell me. Oh, thank you. So you will get an estimate in Untied of how much you need to pay. Right, should we do this again? Try and do it in 4 minutes. See if we can do a tax return in 4 minutes. I'm going to start. Someone can start their stopwatch now. We're gonna do this. Okay. Remember, there are 2 bits of income to add here. It's saying 0 at the top. The expenses. I'm going to clear the expenses because we're going to start this again. Here we go. Right. Okay. I'm in Untied. We have to add our self-employment income and our employment income. I'm going to add transaction, money in, Deliveroo income, 14,150. I'm tagging that as business income. That's my business income done. I can then put more information about how I earn, which I've done. So that's my Deliveroo income done. Now let's say I multi-app. I have Just Eat income. So let's say I've earned 4,500 from that. I tag that as business income. That's my next income. I've got an expense. I've got my phone. So let's say that's £950 for the phone. I tag that as business expense. And I can put this as Vodafone, including new phone. We'll save that. You can add evidence. There's no requirement to do that. You need to keep the evidence, but it doesn't need to be in Untied. I did miles. So I know that I did, I don't know, 1,500 miles a month last year or something like that. I'm going to now add a journey. Total miles for the year. Let's say 18,000 miles. Add the journey. And those miles, it automatically works out the right mileage rate, and that's coming at £6,500. So you can see now I've got my income, I've got my expenses that include mileage. If your expenses are below £1,000, we automatically claim £1,000 of expenses. You're allowed to do that. I now need to go to tax forms because I need to add my employment. So here I'm going to add my employer. Make sure I'm in the right tax here. It's always a good thing. I'm going to add my employer, and let's say I've received 18,161, and the tax taken off is 1651. For argument's sake, I'm going to now save that. So we've got all of this now just being added in terms of the way this works. The key thing is to make sure that you are updating the core information that you need, and that will then feed through to your tax return. So that's the important thing for you. Now, Untied Pro, as you can see here, has a lot of power to it. There are other things that you can add, but you don't need to have all of that capability. If you want to link your bank accounts, you can link your bank accounts, but you don't need to do that. So you've got that option in terms of how you do that. One thing that you do have, if you use the mobile app, is it automatically logs your journeys as you go. So that's quite handy. And you can then claim that. Obviously, that's only for future journeys, not for current journeys. So that is a really, previous ones can't be done that way. Okay, now let's do the tax return, and we can just see how this looks. So 1 second. Just going to make sure I've got something else working. So you can add these things manually as you go, and okay, you can now see if I go onto my, you're not seeing that properly, are you? Right, okay, click on that. Okay, I'm just going to refresh this then for last year. So we've got my income, we've got my expenses. I haven't done it properly. I can then go to tax filings and we will file a return. So this is where we do it. I'm going to go file new return. I've got Express Submit enabled, and that lets me file it anyway, making sure I'm in the right tax year. So I need to be in the last tax year. I've only got a small amount of expenses. I didn't properly claim the mileage. I'm happy with all of that. I click to confirm that I'm happy with it. We'll do a test submission. We'll make sure that the data goes properly. And there we go. So that is a tax return that we've just successfully submitted. I will then click to submit a live return, and a live return is now going to HMRC. So they're going to check the data. This didn't have the mileage properly added. That's fine. We can add that later. And if I view my returns, I can now see the payments that I do with it. But the fact that I didn't include my mileage, I can go back to my journey log, and as part of that change, when I swap different things, I didn't properly add the mileage. So I'm going to add the journey now. Remember how many we said, so it's 18,000 miles. We'll add the journey. It's all been claimed. I've now got the correct amount. I can now go back to my tax filings and I can file it as an amendment. I have made this so much more complicated than it really is, because I screwed up by not showing my screen in the first place and then had to try and undo it when no one was looking. I'm going to take a look now at the further questions just to see how many people have been confused by all of that. And I didn't do it in 4 minutes either, did I? Oh, right. The national insurance contributions. You also that also takes account of national insurance. Now, generally, national insurance is a percentage, a couple % of your of what you earn, but Untied automatically takes account of that. The video is being recorded, but I've got a tip, because actually the one I did the other day was so much better and it worked. But I will record a little bit around that as well. The internet, whoever asked about the internet, great question. You work from home, don't you, some of the time? So some of your home internet can be charged. And also in Untied, let me just show you this. I'm going to try and get better at this now. I will show you this. So if you have internet, let's just go back to transactions. We're going to add your internet. Let's say it's normally £15 a month, and you decide that a third of this is going to be your business related. Then we can just make this an expense, and we claim a third of it. There we go. But also, if you go to tax forms, you're going to be working from home a little bit. So you might be doing this call from home. So if you were doing this, you can say how many hours you were working from home. So it might be 25 to 50 hours a month, and save that, and it will then make a claim for you of working from home. So that's something that you can be doing if you work from home. So that also adds to your expenses. Remember, I've now got to do another update in order to get that right. I'm going to tap on tax breakdown, because the person who was asking about national insurance, we can see here that around about 4,000 of income tax is due, and I've got £200 of national insurance due. So that's roughly how it is in terms of that's at a couple of percent there. Internet, how do you prove your miles? And right, you just have to estimate your miles. I mean, quite honestly, your guess is going to be as good as anybody else's. You just think, right, on a given day, maybe I do 20 or 30 miles. How many days do I work a year? And that's it. It is. I've got Mamma Mia. We need to pay a lot of money, and they are paying rubbish. I guess that's a comment on society, so we'll leave that one there. But we all want to make sure that riders are making money. You've asked about the price of the full price of Untied. So it's non-riders, so you don't pay this, but people who aren't riders pay £130 a year. Riders pay £65 a year, but actually we've got two offers. One, if you are a recent rider who started after April 2025, then you get 18 months for just £65. If you started before then you'll get 13 months for £65. So it's the best pricing we do. If you are the expense claim for the internet, that includes if you're working from home. So, I mean, even if you're a rider, you're going to do some things at home, aren't you? It may only be a tiny amount of stuff, but I wasn't sure if that person was talking about mobile internet or home internet, but there's a little bit of both there. Can you not report your earnings? So Deliveroo and all the other platforms have to report to HMRC on what they've paid you. So HMRC know from Deliveroo that you are a rider, and they know from Just Eat, and they know from UberEats, they know from all the platforms. If you don't tell HMRC what you've earned, then sooner or later, this is going to come back and hit you. I mean, it's not following the rules, but you don't want to find yourself in a position where you get all sorts of penalties, knowing that HMRC know about your income, and you need to be responsible. The best thing to do is to file and then arrange a payment plan that works for you. If you buy a new vehicle, if it's a moped, a scooter, or e-bike, then what you pay each month, that is your expense. If it is a car, then you should be claiming mileage. If you've got a scooter, moped, whatever, you can claim mileage instead. Don't claim both mileage and the cost of the vehicle. You can't do both. It's mileage or the cost of the vehicle. So I hope that covers most of those questions. A lot of people are asking about estimating the miles. HMRC don't know any better than you do how many miles you do, but I'll give you an example. We had someone who was a delivery rider, and they asked for our help in why they were getting things, they were confused with their tax return. They had earned around about £2,000 from Deliveroo. Okay, so it wasn't their main thing. And they had claimed, though, so many miles that the cost of the miles was more than what they'd actually earned. If you are in that position, there's something not right. Either you are losing money by working, and that's bad news. And I realize we'd love it if delivery riders got paid more. But if you are doing so many miles that you're losing money, then probably you have declared your income, or you've overstated your miles. So you need to make sure that it is going to be roughly sensible. So it might be that you work out that for every £100 of income, on average, you do about 100 miles on your bike. And then you can say, well, actually, last year I earned £5,000 of income, so therefore it's about 5,000 miles on my bike. That's the best way of estimating it. You're going to have to work that out. Don't worry about getting it absolutely precise to the miles, but you can do it. The person, you can enter all of this in the Untied mobile app as well. I'll send you the details how to do it. The person who rents the bike, yes, you can claim that. If you're claiming mileage, you don't need to keep fuel receipts. So that's right. If you've got things going through the bank which are really obvious what they are, then that's fine. Even if you haven't got a receipt for something, but you've got other evidence, you don't need to keep a receipt. You can do that. If you hardly earn minimum wage, you may not have any tax to pay, but you still need to report it to HMRC. So I just need to be really clear on that. What I'm going to do, though, I'm going to show you an even simpler way of doing this. Right, so I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to show you a really simpler way to do it. Right. So we have two ways that you can log in as a Deliveroo rider. Okay, I've already shown you one. This is the simplest way to get a tax return done. It's so simple. It's even simpler than the other one. This is called Untied Lite. You can have it as a Deliveroo rider. It's £35 a year. We're moving away from it, so that's why we're not putting offers in it, but you can still access it this way. If you want to add income, you put the income, just eat income, £1,000. We claim that. Okay, this is the easiest way to do it. It doesn't have dates and things on that, so that's really just a really simple list. You can add your mileage here. So you've got your total there of 18,000 miles. I'm going to delete that because I'm going to say that's wrong. I'm going to add my mileage and say it's actually 12,000 miles by car or van. Whoops. The total that has now been submitted. I've got my employment. Do you remember I said I've got my employment? So here's my employment. I'm happy with that. That's all good. My tax filing now, I can do submit return. Again, it says Untied Express submit. I would normally tick to say I've already to do it. I need to do an update. And I'm going to confirm and I'm going to submit it. That is it. I have done a tax return now using Untied Lite. What's nice about Untied Lite is it works really well in the browser. So that's another option for you as well. But for the person who hardly earns minimum wage, I really would say make sure that you file because you don't want to be in a right mess. If you have got £20,000 income, yes, you can claim 20,000 miles. Whatever your mileage is, that's what you can claim. How long do you get to pay if you submit it today? If you submit it today, you still have to pay by the end of January, but submit it today, submit it today, submit it today. and then ask HMRC for time to pay to spread the cost of your payments. Once you have filed, you can ask HMRC to spread the cost of the payments. You can't do that until you've actually filed. If you don't know your numbers, I'm not going to ask, are there people here who don't know their numbers? They may well be. There may well be people who don't know their numbers. So what I suggest, you put what in what you know. Put in what you know and submit. And on the last page where you do a tax filing, I do submit return, it says the return includes provisional amounts. If you can say can't find total for Deliveroo, estimated 14,500, will amend once I find it. Then effectively you can submit that, and then afterwards you can then make sure you file an amendment with the actual complete information. But it's better to file with numbers that you think are more or less right than it is not to file at all and to panic. So whoever is the person who was really worried, and I know there was someone who was really worried, get something filed, and that's the easiest way with the numbers that you have. Whoever started in January 2026, you need untied starter. You don't need to worry now. You can enjoy it while everybody else is getting worried. I will send all these links. Right, the link for that is like.untied.io. I'll put that as well in the other thing. And that is just £35 as a Deliveroo rider. What I'll do is after this call, I'll update the secret page to include reference to that as well. I've made a bit of a mess of this one today, haven't I? But has this been helpful? Have you got more questions? I realize that the most important thing is to get something filed. So the number one thing I would do is get some numbers in, file it to HMRC, and then if you need to do an amendment afterwards because you've learned more about your numbers, then you can do that. Okay, if you registered, I've got 2 people now who are waiting for the UTR. If you haven't got UTR, just wait. If you apply for a UTR, you have 3 months from the time that you get a notice to file with the UTR to actually file. So you get longer while you're waiting for the UTR because HMRC can't receive it without the UTR. So you're doing the right thing, those 2 people who are waiting. It will be fine. If you've got any problems, just let us know and we can help you. And that is an advantage of working with Untied. There's other software out there as well. But if you work with us, we can make sure that things are submitted properly. And if you've got issues, we can help you guide those through. We've got a really lovely support team who can help you as well. That was a lot, wasn't it? We'll see. Any final questions? You need to put the UTR in Untied. Oh, yes, you do need to put the UTR in Untied as well. So if I bring this back in, I'm getting good at this. I should do another webinar now. You can see I've put my UTR in here and my national insurance number. So they both need to be in there. Right. Someone said, why can't HMRC adjust the numbers based on what Deliveroo report to them? Whoever you are, I think you ought to be running some of these things at HMRC because that's a really good question. Why can't they? There are a couple of answers, but ideally, this number should go all the way through from Deliveroo to you. Strangely, the numbers that Deliveroo report to HMRC aren't on a tax year basis, they're on a calendar year basis. We've said, well, why don't you report it as well on a tax year basis? That's because it's an international obligation. And it's not just in the UK, in other countries as well. It's reported to the tax authority and it doesn't come back. We do some stuff in the United States and it's the same there. I think that's a very wise question. One thing that I do want to say, though, is your employment information, although you've already paid tax on it, you must include that on your tax return so HMRC can match the two. The person who got Untied Pro, there should be a plus button to add a transaction. So I hope you can work out how to do that. HMRC does not know what type of vehicle you use. They're not watching us. I hope they're not watching us. They're not watching us, but it's up to you to justify it. So, you know, you can't claim that you're driving a car and claim mileage for a car if when they come and visit you, you've only got a bicycle and you haven't got a driving license. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility on us. We need to be honest, but we need to be fair, and they need to be fair with us as well. So someone's asked, how much of your phone can you claim? Quite frankly, as a Deliveroo rider, I think you can claim almost all of your phone, because anything that you use it for personally is generally incidental. So, I mean, that's if you're pretty much a full-time rider. You will get through phones much faster than I would, because you know you are using them for your business, and their primary purpose is for your business. And you can tell me what case to get. A shout out over the speeding case. My phone got run over by a taxi, and the case helped protect it. So there we go. Do you need an accountant or no? You don't need an accountant. You can choose to have an accountant. And people say, well, why should we pay for Untied? You can file for free straight with HMRC. Absolutely, you can do. And our response there is you still need to keep the records, and that's what Untied does. We make it easy. We make sure that things go in the right place. And it's the same argument you use to me. So I could go to the restaurant myself and pick up my food in the rain. I don't want to. I'd rather pay you to do it. In the same way, you could do your taxes straight with HMRC, but if it's better and we can help you, then we try and give you a fair price as well. It works out £120 if you're working from home, and between 20 and 50 hours a week. We've got all of that. Oh, whoever asked? You are reporting now between April 24 and April 25. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, you can be the accountant for the rest of us. And you will have no penalties if you're waiting for the UTR because you can't file. So you're good, that person. So, I mean, clearly you can't do this every year because you're only waiting once for the UTR. There, in theory, should be other penalties, but you can't be filing. There won't be any filing penalties. You're good for that, and they generally don't follow those. Right, that person can now add money in and money out. He's done it. How to pay the tax? Okay, how to pay the tax? I will show you that in a second. The person who has submitted and paid on April 2025, just make sure you did that for the 24-25 tax year, that you're not getting your tax years right. But otherwise, you can sit back, you can enjoy while everyone else gets worried. And UberEats have sent HMRC the details from June up to date. How do you get your UTR? Right, okay, someone wants to know the Untied contact details. I should have put that in there. Right, so I'm going to put a few things in there in a moment. Boom, 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 boom. If you start from January 2024, if you made more than £1,000 before April 2024, you need to file for that year as well. But otherwise, you start from April 2024 onwards. So, so my question there is, did you make more than £1,000? That's a question for you. I may not get all these responses. Someone's bought a brand new motorbike. Can you claim the total cost? If you're claiming the cost of the motorbike and it's just for deliveries, then you can claim the total cost and follow the money. So it's the date that you make payments, whether for the RAC, for fuel tracker, new registration, or whatever it might be. All of those costs are the costs of the vehicle. If you sell the vehicle, that is income that you get. So it's not that you have a vehicle and that's an expense, but you have to then have the income if you then sell that vehicle, or you can do mileage. You can't do both. Okay. So if you have done Just Eat and Amazon Flex for over 3 years, we might need to do some things going back. So I would say drop us an email to team@untied.io, and then we can help you as well with what you need there. And right, there was something else, paying HMRC. I'm just going to show you that as well. Paying the tax, money in, money out. Bum, 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 bum. Right, we're good. Right, let's just do paying HMRC. So you haven't seen that yet. In Untied Lite, you can't see it, but in Untied Pro, it's another reason why Untied Pro is probably a better. There's a lot of stuff going on, but we try and help you. I'm going to share that. You should be able to see this now. This is how I was going to do it this morning, wasn't it? I go to my tax filings on the left-hand side. You can see I've got payments, and it shows me what is due to be paid. Okay, it says here total due on 31st of January is 5,302. Well, that sounds scary, but actually I already paid £3,000 last year for payments on account. So it's only 2,302 that I need to pay. I pop that in now. I put that in, I proceed to HMRC, and it should then pop up the payment screen for me to pay HMRC, and I can click that amount. It then asks me my bank, so I could put Monzo, continue, and then I will process the rest of my payments. I'm not going to do that because that would be that's a made-up account. I end up paying HMRC by mistake. So I hope that covers that. I'm now going to return to see any of the final questions. We've gone past 4 o'clock. Is there a deadline for amendments? Yeah, there is. Really, it's a year. I mean, like in practice, you can do it afterwards, but it's a bit of a nightmare because you can't do it electronically. You have to do it using paper, and it's all complicated. So there we go. £1,000 is a yearly threshold, right? So if you're earning more than £1,000 for the year, that's the tax year. So if before sort of April 2025 you earned £1,000 in that tax year, then you're in. Otherwise you're not, unless you've got to do a tax return for other reasons. So that is good. I just want to say, as a group, your tax knowledge is so good. Really, you are just, I love that we're doing it. I'm going to speak to Deliveroo as well about doing another one, not at the deadline. We're going to try and do these monthly. We'll do different things, but I need you to nudge and to make sure that we do it. I said I would give you all the links. So untied.io secret. There is a there's light.untied.io, untied.io / let me see. And do you want me to put the recording into the other day as well? Would that be helpful? So let me just see if I can do that. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, thank you for. I know you've got much more important things than this. So, and that's an important thing actually. If I can save you time because I'm making a taxes a lot easier, then I think that's a really good thing as well. Right, let me just see where I've got the link to the last thing that we did. Oh, right, here's a big picture of me. Okay, 1 second. A video that I did the other day. Right, so you've got a whole load of different things there. I'll try and send that out as well. Someone can't see anything. Yeah, I wasn't linking that properly. I was just typing. Right, yes, Zigo, you can claim all business insurance. You got that. Why do you need to add the bank account? You don't need to add the bank account, but if you do add the bank account, your life becomes even easier. Can I ask that we spend 1 minute and I'll show you that as well. So let me just do a few things and we will see what we can do. Right. Let me just do a couple of things. Right. Okay, fine. Right. I'm going to show you stuff in the current tax year, just so I can sort of just show how this works, if that's all right. I'm clicking on lots of different things. You can't see what I'm doing at the moment. I recognize that. So that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to share now something else. Right, hopefully now you can see something else again, which is a different screen. Okay, so I've got stuff here. I'm now going to link a demo account. So we've got all of our transactions. We will do stuff really, really, really quickly. This is the current year, but let's do it. Okay, now I know I've got Zego as my expense. I click on that, I tag that as a business expense. Zego, done. I earn money from Roo Foods. Here we go. We've got 2 things in from Roo Foods. I'm tagging that as business income. Done. I may have income from Just Eat. No, I've got some donations though. I've got some parking. Let's tag the parking then as business expense. We'll do that. My donations though, we will tag that very quickly as donations. I'm giving money to charity. How good of me. There we go. Right. I've also got some Amazon transactions. So let's take a quick look at Amazon transactions and see what we've got. Well, actually, most of these are personal, but this one, I'm going to tag this because I bought something for my bike, but it's not the full amount. I only bought something that cost £307 and 9p, so I'm going to partially claim that. That's my Amazon thing done. Right, I've got my journeys. Because I'm using the app, in theory, it could be logging it directly, but I'm going to just quickly discard that. I'm going to now add my journeys again in here. I'm going to say, right, total car journeys are, I don't know, 1,500. So that's done as well. So all of this is happening automatically as we go. So basically, the advantage of linking your bank accounts is your transactions come in. You can see it, you can scroll down and you think, oh yeah, oh, I went to Screwfix, I bought some stuff there. So that is going to be a business expense. So you can do this really quickly as you go. Oh, smart scooters, you bought a scooter. Well, if you're not doing the mileage, maybe you're claiming that as a scooter, and perhaps that mileage was before you got the scooter. So you can see all these different things coming in just to remind you how it might work. You bought some stuff for the bike, PPE Express. Well, maybe you need to get some special PPE as business expense. So the advantage of linking your bank accounts is you will spot transactions that you've forgotten that you need to be claiming. Let's see, we've got Vodafone with all these Vodafone transactions. Well, I'm going to claim all of those in one go as a business expense. And let's say it's 90% of my Vodafone use is business. So suddenly, by linking your bank accounts, you are going to be claiming a lot more expenses because you're going to remember stuff just by seeing it go through your bank account. There's no need to do it. You can add it manually, but that's really what the advantage is of doing it. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. We're at 4:10. I'm going to suggest that we end there. Right. Be available to say, oh, what a terrible. Do we really want this one again? Hasn't it been a disaster? Well, maybe I'll do that. Oh, right. Okay, let me just quickly do this. The person who has got a full-time job, you also need to report that there. HMRC don't request the bank statements. They potentially can get them though from the bank, so that's that. If you report today, but the deadline is 31st of January, it needs to be done by it, and you're doing it up until the 5th of April last year. You're not doing it up until today's date. You're doing it up until the 5th of April last year. So that's done. Thank you for appreciating me. It's lovely. Thank you. If you bought a laptop that is solely for the purpose of self-assessment, just be honest, right? Are you going to be watching YouTube? Are you going to be doing other things? Is it just for your self-assessment? So you're going to want to have a bit of a split around this. So you might decide that, look, it's 10% for business or whatever it is. Be honest to yourself and be honest as well with the reality of these things, because what you don't want to do is to look silly. And we all know, so look, there's a difference as well. Okay. If I go on holiday to Tenerife and I run into someone I work with, that's a holiday, isn't it, really? If I do a business trip somewhere and I go out in an evening with some business friends, we have a drink, then or we have dinner, then that's a business trip. So, I mean, if Tenerife is a holiday, business trip's a business trip, we know really what the fundamental thing is around it. I should just talk about food though, because sometimes we get asked, can we claim our lunch? The answer is no, generally you can't claim the food that you're buying. What you can claim, that if you go on a trip, I don't know, let's say Deliveroo has a rider meetup, then you can claim the cost of going there and the food associated with it. I'll share this. I apologize for the complete chaos of this. I will share it. Universal credit. All right, here we go. I'm going to show you. Oh, right, one more thing, right? Because Untied also gives you answers. So I'm not the only person who actually knows the answers. I don't know how to use Teams. So at the bottom, you can see on our website as well, you've got something called Get Answers. I'm going to ask Untied AI here, or do I need to report universal credit? Okay, let's see what it says. I don't know what it's going to say either, so I'm quite excited to see what it says. No, you don't need to include it. It says there is no need to tag it, but if you'd like, you can mark it as personal. And here you can see there is a link. This is really important whenever you use any AI. Don't rely on Untied AI or any other tax AI unless you're actually going back to the original article. So here you can see at the bottom, Untied and Universal Credit. I click on that, and this is where you can actually start to see what the source is. So that is important as well. Make sure that you use it intelligently and come back and you can see how that goes. Good question there. Lots of other answers that we have there. I'm going to go away, have a cup of tea. It says freeze, so there we go. Oh, someone's asking about crypto. You keep coming up with more questions. Crypto, yes, you do, particularly now if you're making money on crypto, you need to do that. So how, okay, that answered that one. So how do I report crypto? I don't know if that's going to be in there as well, but all of these things, ask us the question and you've got an answer within here. The answer will be, well, that's coming up on tax forms. You've got capital gains down here, and this is where you've got a section somewhere for crypto assets. So there you go. So that needs to be reported. There you go. It's telling you capital gains. It's telling you to do it. And there you go. That's the answer that you need. You might need to put analysis date down here of how that works. Right. I hope that has really been useful. Lovely seeing everyone here. There are no more questions come. Thank you. Numbers are dwindling. You've got deliveries to do. I will share this embarrassing video online and have a, oh, someone's, shall I look at this post? Yes. If you're working full-time anywhere and already pay tax, yes, you need to include that as well on your tax return in Untied, because HMRC match your employment income to what they already know from your employer. So that needs to be matched as well. Thank you, everyone. You've been absolutely brilliant. Have a really good afternoon. And if you need anything, just reach out to team@untied.io and everyone's happy to help. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.